Hey guys,
Hi,
Nina Soul here.
and BJ.
We are doing our third lesson in the Warrior Goddess training, which is Purify Your Vessel.
It's pretty intense. You're here.
Oh, Mary Jane joined us. Hello. Oh, yeah, we get to see her right there.
We get to see. Okay, cool.
Hello, cuz. Yeah, so sorry you guys, we've been MIA last week. There was a lot of stuff going on and we had a lot to take care of. So we'll be keeping you guys posted as far as details go with that situation. But for today, we are going to do a review on lesson 3. So,
Shay.
yeah,
Purify your vessel. It starts with something that we left you off 2 weeks ago with. The thing that is really hard and really amazing is giving up on being perfect and beginning the work of becoming yourself. Easy words, really rough stuff.
Really hard.
Right?
Really hard to do.
This chapter for me was really difficult to read. And I think it was because I have so much emotional clutter and so much clutter in my life that I would stop and try to be distracted, and then I would go back to reading it again because my actual brain or mind wanted to skip out of it, instead of facing it.
Right. Hold on, we're getting vulnerable. Let's avoid.
Absolutely.
Abort mission.
I know.
Abort goddess mission.
Seriously. I mean, it was exactly that. And because for me, this chapter was all about self-acceptance, and we're going to get into being the judge and the victim and how that interplays with life. But we're all of that and so much more. And, as far as my scales go, man, talk about the judge, boom, and the other one, the victim and other circumstances. So this was a tough chapter for me. Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. So I'd be interested to know what you're thinking out there as far as what the chapter meant for you.
Yeah, if you guys are reading along with us, if you guys have joined our book club, please always feel free to leave your comments in the comment section what this chapter meant for you, different things that you might have noticed. I mean, we would really love to hear you guys' responses as far as how this lesson affected you personally and what you realized after reading this chapter about yourself, and different things that you can improve on or how you've improved, because that's the other thing is that it doesn't just make you realize everything that you've all the fucked up things you have going on in your life, but it also makes you see all the fucked up things that you had going on in your past and how you've come a long way from that. Absolutely. And how you can keep going. It motivates you, because if I've gone from, and I'm going to use this as an example, because in this right here in the book itself, it says an overview of self in your current state. So current state, it asks you your mental clarity and your peace. And then right below it, it asks you your chatter and your confusion. So how much of your mental is at clarity and peace, and how much of it is at chatter and confusion? Well, my answers right now were 75% of me, of my mental is clarity and peace, but I do have a 25% of chatter and confusion, because I go through the chatter and confusion to find the clarity and peace. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I have to dissect things and I have to break them down. It's not for everybody. I mean, for me, it works. So I get that chatter and that confusion, but within that chatter and confusion, I look for, okay, how can I change this? How can I make this better? And then I use that and I push myself forward, because I already have gotten in the habit of knowing how beneficial that is for myself and emotionally. And it takes work, but once you get the hang of it, it's it becomes a lot easier. You become less tolerant of bullshit, and you become more of knowing what it is that you deserve and what you want, and you set your standards. not just for yourself, but for what you're going to accept from other people around you.
Exactly. And I think that's one of the biggest points that I'm working on. Whereas Nina's got 75-25 in that area, I'm 35% mental clarity and 65% confusion, because I am just reapproaching this in my life. And there is a lot of shit that I'm working through. And so, again, and I totally agree with you saying that through the confusion is where you find those moments of clarity. And what do you want to do to rectify the situation? Or what are you going to change about your viewpoint or the way that you're feeling? Or maybe it's not feeling at all. Maybe you have to disconnect from that feeling, because it kind of goes back to being that judge. And that judge messes our minds up, you know. And one example that the book gave was someone borrowed money, and so your judgmental self is like, well, what are they doing with it? They're lazy. They don't work for a 9-to-5 job. You know, they're squandering the money. Whereas your non-judgmental side, or where you should be in assessing a situation, is divorcing yourself from that anger, from that emotion, and say, okay, that person needed money and I gave it to them. Are they going to pay me back? Probably not. So the next time they come to me, I'm not going to maybe do the same thing that I did. Right. Or as my father-in-law used to say, suck on a rock. Or,
Yeah.
But it's, for me, this chapter was divorcing yourself from those emotions, because those emotions, while they propel us in a good way to cleanse ourselves, purifying your vessel, finding your path, those emotions, conversely, just like a pendulum, can be destructive. And that comes into playing with that victim, which the book talks about. It's like, oh, poor me, all this stuff keeps happening to me. Well, if you put yourself into that balance, and that's what, for me, this book is all about: balance. It's assessing where you're at, doing and being true to yourself, taking away and stripping away all that emotion and all that negative speak in your mind or in your heart, and following what you should be doing, finding that balance. You're able to strip away and look at the situation with clarity. And that goes back to your point. So in the confusion, in the moments, but now we're given the tools. We're given the tools. Are you going to be a judge, or are you going to be a victim, or are you going to be neither? And you're going to divorce yourself away from those emotions and look at it as if you were a third person walking in and saying, okay, so what are we doing here? What caused you to be here? And putting those difficult questions out there.
And, you know, calling yourself out on it too, because I call myself out when I'm being negative, or when I'm being judgmental, or when I'm like, if I'm just needing to say something, like, and that my sisters know, I talk a lot of shit when I'm in the moment, but that's me releasing it.
That's me
and
too.
That's me not letting it consume me, because I'm just like, word vomit. And then all of a sudden later on, I'm like, yeah, that felt kind of good. I don't feel that way anymore, but I did feel that way. And I'm glad that I was able to express it. And I expressed it with people that understand how I express it. And then I get to my understanding. So like I said, I have that little moment of like chaos within me, but then it's, you know, I struggle to find that peace and that balance within that. And it's really helped a lot. It's, I'm not even, let's see. Hello. Desert Siren joined us.
Hey,
hello. Mary Jane said, let's see, when you show your tattoos tomorrow, I'm sending package. Yay. Sorry, off subject. It's okay, cuz I have to do a review. I have a service review to do for a witchy sister that she did my ink. So
I want to go with you.
I know, I'm so excited. I
We
love
gotta
going
get-
there. It's like my home away from home away from
Next
home.
time you go, call me.
Yes,
The
definitely.
day before,
We're
so
gonna
I can call in sick.
right.
Don't
right.
tell my boss.
I know. We're gonna go get tatted up.
Yeah, we're gonna get tatted up. I have a bunch of tats too. But we're not,
Yeah. Oh yes.
we're not showing it.
Yeah, Sister Beach will have us here forever with all the. You wouldn't think.
Yeah.
She's got a lot of ink under there.
Yep. Yep.
Let's see. Summertime Fairy said, "Hey, ladies, I caught you live." Yes, you did.
Yay!
Desert Siren said, "This book hits a lot of stuff I hesitate to face." Yes,
That was so difficult for me to read. I mean, I sat there. Normally, I mean, how many pages? It's short chapter.
Mhm.
It was the longest freaking chapter for me because I kept like, I don't
Right.
want to read this, but
Oh, and what I was talking about too, how it asks you like your current. It asks
Yes.
you for your current, but then it asks you
in the past.
in the past.
Yeah.
It's 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Look at my clarity and my peace was 0%. My chatter and confusion was 100%. I was all gas, no brakes. I was a hot mess 5 years ago. And I was like, so when you see that, and then it talks about it in the chapter, it says, look at where you were 5 years ago, look at where you are now, and you will see your progress.
Absolutely.
So it makes you realize a whole lot of things, but then it also gives you that little bit of it's gonna be okay.
Because where are you going to be in 5 years?
Right, where are you going to be in 5 years?
We're all going to be goddess warriors, and we're going to be like in that nirvana,
Yeah. You put that out there, and that's where you're going to be at,
Absolutely.
And there was just like, I really love a lot of the things that they say, and very powerful. Just some of the things that are in here. I'm trying to find one of the.
Before you go on, what I did is I put a date at the very bottom of this with the current and where I was 5 years ago, because I'm challenging myself to revisit this in a year.
Right.
And I want to see, I'm going to write in here again, and I'm going to reassess myself, and I want to see my progress.
Right.
Absolutely.
That's amazing. I love that.
Yep. Because I would love to reread this book in a year and just absolutely go through seeing where I'm at and where I began.
Right. And it's good that you do that, because it makes you want to go further and further.
Absolutely.
Like you're setting goals, and then once you achieve those goals, then you set higher ones.
Absolutely.
So if you're at a 50-50 or you're at a 25-75, you can always change that. You can work your way from that, but you have an idea of where you're starting at.
True.
One of the things that I really liked in here, it says, if there is blame or rejection, this is judgment. If there is compassion and clarity, this is discernment. So it helps you to understand how to know the difference between the two. Because you might think that you're getting something from your intuition, or your spirit's making you feel a certain type of way, but it's actually coming from your ego. So it kind of gets you to understand that there is a difference. There's feeling and there's thinking. The thinking is always going to be your enemy. It's always going to be your worst critic. Your intuition is where that's everything that makes more positive things in your life. Like it comes from love. It doesn't come from criticism.
It comes from our if we look at it, who was it? What psychologist? With the superego, the ego, and the id. Intuition is our primal mechanism, if you will, to keep us grounded, to keep us alive, to keep us connected. Mm-hmm. And that's the part in today's society that we're moving away from, because we're all up in our mind, mm-hmm. and we're on our electronic devices, and we're all looking at things from a different viewpoint.
Everything that disconnects us from ourselves and from each other.
And from each other. And from each other. Now, Nina went to page 34. There were a couple things that I know and I remember reading, mm-hmm. but a few things that resonated differently with me. So mine was, your judge just doesn't have high standards. It has
Mhm.
impossible standards. I mean, how many times have we beaten up ourselves? I know from my own experience that I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough. And, so then I went on and I highlighted, when you listen to your judge's voice as a source of wisdom, which it isn't, but that's what we consider it to be, you're caught in comparison and frustration.
Mhm.
I want to be good enough. I want to be better. And what does that do? That doesn't feed the soul. Not at all. I
No.
mean, that keeps us down and keeps us repressed.
And then also, this could be an exercise even for you guys. Like, what do you think is better? Like, writing those things down. What do you think is better? What do you think you could do better? What does better mean to you? And then you analyze those things and see, are those really important? And if they are really important and you really want to make those things a part of who you are, then start to create exercises to achieve those things. Nothing is impossible if you want it bad enough.
How true is that? And remember that your judge tracks the most mud into your sacred temple. I like that one. I'm sorry.
I like that one too. I'm like, yep.
Yep, it does. And the whole purpose of this exercise on page 35, as you purify your vessel, because this isn't going to happen overnight. It's not. Heck, I'm turning a new decade next month, and I can't even get it out of my mouth because for me it's like a huge psychological impact. But it's a process, and even the author writes, as you purify your vessel by no longer believing the lies of your judge and your victim, you begin to see the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Your own truth. My truth is going to be different than Nina's truth.
Mm-hmm.
So trust.
But here's the thing, is that our truths would never allow us to be angry at each other, to completely disagree with each other, to stop, and some people
stop loving each other.
Stop loving each other. Some people don't understand that. Some people think that their truth is the only truth. Some people think that the religions that they follow, what has been taught to them, is the only truth, and anything that's outside of that, I mean, you're condemned to sin, like your soul's going to be tortured and things like that. Like, that's the thing, is that everyone has their own truth. Even reading this book, this author had their own truth. We're reading a part of their truth. So in reading this, there's going to be things that stand out to me, that are meaningful to me, that mean something or resonate with me. And then there's going to be things that resonate with Beach. But the whole thing is that we have to understand that everybody is on their own path. Everyone is on their own journey, and not everyone is going to agree with some of the things that you feel or some of the ways that you think. And, and it doesn't make anybody wrong. You're following your own truth. And by respecting that other people have their own truth, you're giving love in healthy ways.
How true is that? And one of the things that impressed me most on this was on page 40. Start viewing other women as warrior goddesses.
Mm-hmm. I love that.
Sister warrior goddesses.
I thought of our circle.
I know. And we essentially do address, there are times I'll get a text that'll be like from Nina, it'll be like, sister goddess, and I'm like, that feels so good,
Yeah.
But it is very true that everyone is going to work at their own speed. That's the tools that are given to us through these lessons.
Mm-hmm.
So one thing I've committed to myself that you don't even know, Susie and I are going to be like working out a little bit, because the body, mind, spirit really does come into play. If you're feeling good in your body, if you're feeling good with your spirituality and where you're headed,
you kind of want the outside to match the inside.
Perfectly said.
Yeah.
Perfectly said, sister.
And I'm all for that. And
Yeah.
I love it because I want my sisters to be healthy.
Yeah.
I want you guys to stay around for as long as you fucking can. And then after that, I'm gonna stuff everybody and have you guys standing in the wet specimen jars. I just, I will just have everybody with me, and I will put myself to be the same. You guys can freeze me, hopefully in a good position.
We're not going to ask what position.
Oh, right. Yeah, so I'm really happy for you guys. And that's the other thing, is acknowledging other women as goddesses. You're a goddess. Acknowledge other women as goddesses. I don't even know how many times, like, I say it with my sisters, but I also say it with other women, like when they text me or they message me or they, like they call me. I call sisters goddesses, and they're all my sisters, all women. But to me, all women are goddesses, all men's are gods. So there's gods, there's goddesses, there's kings, there's queens.
And then there's Jason Momoa.
Oh, then there's Jason Momoa.
Girl crush.
He's a little bit of everything combined.
So some of the comments we're getting. Summertime Fairy Boreas. I listened to the whole book on video. So she's following the book.
Nice.
Mary Jane says, would love to listen to it on audio. Amanda says, hi.
Hi, Amanda.
Hi, Amanda. And then Desert Siren, the exercises in this lesson I can see me needing to do on a daily basis, long term. Absolutely. Yeah. This is not just because we've done chapter 3 and we're moving on.
Oh, no, this is, yeah.
No, this is truly, I mean, I will sit at work and, have a situation come up and the judge comes out and I'm like, no, I got to stop doing that. Gotta stop doing that. Hi.
Right. Yeah. And then even putting little reminders for yourself. Like if you notice that if there's certain things that you're trying to change about yourself, putting little reminders in places that that you're going to see them.
Right.
Like for example, if you want to start making healthier choices as far as what you eat or what you drink, what you consume, the wine is healthy. We get our vitamins from there. That's
our antioxidants.
The witch blood preserved. But you put little notes, little reminders around, and those things really help you. And after a while, you won't have to do that because you already remember. Once you see it, it becomes a reaction. It becomes, it's a practice. Practice makes perfect.
Absolutely. And thank you, Desert Siren. She says, happy early new decade.
Huh? Did you want to? Oh yeah. Is that okay if I call you? Okay. You just maybe take her number down. Okay.
So thank you, Desert Siren and Mary Jane and Summertime Fairy. Yes, when is my birthday next month? You'll see me with bells and whistles on, I'm sure.
We all will be.
Yeah, right. So Amanda shared with us, I think that mindset of my truth is the only way, is definitely of the old system of thought. Things are changing to a very different vibration.
Oh, yeah.
I totally agree with that. And that's why we're here. And that's why we're gathered, because this resonates to you as sister warrior goddesses. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And empowering each other. I mean, the more we empower each other, the more that we grow ourselves, because it's like I was telling my sister Beach earlier, when we get to witness a situation, whatever it may be, happen right before us, and it's happening to people that we care about, and we're a part of that somehow, it relates to what is going on within our own lives. Maybe not fully and completely, but a big portion, even if it's only the lesson that is. Sis,
come on,
get your ass over here.
But no, go on.
Even if it's only the lesson, or even if it's only a very small detail, the universe we're making room for Red.
Yes.
She's coming. She's sitting right here.
Yes. But the universe is really telling you something or giving the message. I mean, that's what we were discussing earlier. And
or telling us to prepare.
or to prepare, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's kind of an extension of some of the things that that go on in our own life, because everything is made of energy. And when people have car issues, or a flat tire, or you have some even mechanical issue going on in your house, these can be indications of things that are going on within you, or something going on within your life. You have a water problem, or a flood problem, or hi sister,
Hello.
Car issues, stability, the transportation method.
Yeah.
How are you dealing with moving from project to project, or situation to situation? If your car is broken, maybe we need to look at specific situations that run in our own lives. So, Ashe.
Or maybe you need to start taking care of the motherfucker.
Yeah.
One or the other.
Yeah. Put oil in it.
Yes. Let it warm up.
That's true.
Stop running late like me.
I think one of the most beautiful things while Red is gathering her notes is located on page 42, and it is the last sentence on that page, and it says, "When you commit to yourself and you choose to align with life, you accept the task of inner cleaning not as icky, distasteful chore, but as a warrior goddess act of self-love." I think that is an extremely powerful statement, because cleaning for me is an icky thing. But when I'm doing things for my own edification, my own growth, my own
way of loving
yourself, absolutely. You notice how that came not out of my mouth. So I mean, today I'm struggling a little bit, but every day is a new challenge, and you have to rise up to that challenge, and you have to make the choices based on being strong, being a warrior, and loving yourself and loving your sisters.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
It's the key word. Warrior, fight, struggle, courage, strength, endurance. All those things.
Oh, true.
Exercises, better habits.
Everything we do.
Everything. It's a fight. It's a struggle. It's a challenge. It's not meant to be easy. That's why not everybody can get there. It takes work. I mean, it takes a lot of energy to complain about stuff on a regular basis. But to complain about something, to acknowledge it, and then to work on it and improve it, that
expends the same energy.
But and it gets you further.
And it gets you so much further.
A negative waste of energy.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And you can't get it back.
Amanda said, "That is so beautiful." And then Desert Sirens said, "I was drinking Dr. Pepper when reading this chapter, and I was like, oh, hell. Hello. I was drinking nothing, and I was like, dang, am I done yet?"
I love Desert Siren. Oh, my God. I can just imagine. I had ice cubes and everything. She went through the extra time to put in a glass.
Oh, that's funny. And everyone is welcoming you, Red.
Hi, guys.
Yay.
Finally, I'm here. Last time I was taking care of a customer, you guys were.
I know.
And well, at least I'm still here.
Yeah. And then last week we didn't do it. We had stuff.
I wasn't here, so I didn't miss it. Good.
Yeah. We're making our mission statement and stuff. Sis, you want to throw anything in there?
Well, when I think of the vessel, which we each are, it's like you got to contain your house. We got to contain ourselves. We have to keep up with ourselves. Otherwise,
Sure.
I know when my house is a disaster, you don't want to look at anything. You don't want to be there. You don't want to, it just makes you sad or sick, and it's the same thing with us, with ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So it's important that the way you would clean your house, as if you were having a party, it makes you feel good.
Yeah.
It makes you like, it just looks beautiful. It makes you feel good. That's why we gotta treat it ourselves as if we're cleaning ourselves up for a party, and we're ready. It's a what?
Nothing. My mind just went straight pervert. I'm sorry, I couldn't. I was just like, oh.
It was a few
We're
words right before that.
I'm preparing myself for a party. I'm just like,
Well,
you're
ready. You're ready. I mean, when you clean your house, you're ready for whoever walks in.
For whoever
so if you
walks
clean yourself,
in.
whoever walks in, you're ready.
Oh my God, too much perversion right here.
Yeah, I know. My mind went south. Yours went south. Reds is like trying to level set.
Reds is trying to make it all okay.
Yeah, she's like,
everybody
we're gonna level set this. We're gonna talk about.
Well,
we're gonna
they
move
need
it
to walk
away.
If they can walk in, then you got some issues. Saying.
Right.
Ashe.
We don't want anyone walking in like that now.
So Alicia Winfrey said, "Hi, sister. How are you?" Desert Siren. Ooh, Red has kissy lips all over her chest.
Yeah, she does. They're little kissy Italian ones. Yeah. They're mine. The green one's mine right there.
It's mine. It's hers. And it's each.
Yeah.
There you go. Oh yeah.
Right. So anyway, you got to keep yourself cleaned up.
Yeah. Dang, that's
always ready.
Very clean and ready for any party.
So okay, we'll go spiritually ready. Keep your spirit always clean.
Your vessel.
Right.
Yes.
You are whole, beautiful, and powerful. Wonder Woman. Stop telling yourself you are broken or unredeemable. Absolutely.
And it's easy to go there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, things happen, things overwhelm you, and it's easy to fall apart.
But if you go there, though, figure out what's broken and why you fell apart.
Absolutely. Think about it. Every shamanic tradition, every religion has some sort of death and rebirth.
Mm-hmm.
We look at the Sundance, and I'm not talking about the Sundance Channel, but the Sundance where the warriors hang themselves and just go through that pain so that they feel that pain so they can feel alive and find their spiritual path. It doesn't have to be a physical pain, but for every change, there's going to be a death of some action or some emotion to be reborn. And that is recognizing that, I think, is half the battle. And, kind of going back to, you blow up. I'm the same way when I am an emotionally charged state. Not only does my voice go down to bear-like level and I growl, I literally just like that, to stay away from me. But I scream, I yell, I release it, and then I'm fine. And then I'm ready to work on, okay, what really pissed me off? Why did I have that emotion?
Mm-hmm.
And how am I going to control that in the future? Because that's not a healthy thing.
I've seen the after effects of that, but I haven't seen the growl. I've seen the after the growl.
The growl happens,
Well, you see mine. Mine's more like a howl and a...
Mine's a growl. So Amanda says... Hyena, stop. I need to make a trip to Chicago. So much fun. Yeah. And then Summertime Fairy says, I made it a bad habit to tell myself how broken I am. Working on that now. I am not broken. You are absolutely correct. You are not broken. Everything else around you might be broken, but you are not broken. And stop that, because that is the judge who is never going to be satisfied, and you're taking on that mantle of negativity. And if anyone, everybody has so many different life experiences, and we're all different from each other, but culturally, we're always told that we don't make enough, we're not good enough as women folk, not just looking at what happens to us on a life basis. So this is ingrained into us. And so we're always pushing further and further, and we're not pleasing ourselves. We're pleasing everyone
Others.
that we think are judging us.
Because a lot of us are raised to serve.
Absolutely raised to
Raised
serve.
to serve.
I
The
don't know anyone who
men
wasn't
raised to serve.
Right.
Well, yeah, you weren't, but I'm saying, and like,
What do you mean I wasn't?
no, you said you weren't.
Raised to serve?
You said you weren't.
Everybody's raised to serve. We're all raised to serve our parents.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you meant the guy. Like your
No.
parents, yeah.
I mean, we're
But you've always
just
like
born.
made it like this is how I am, and
Mama Midnight joined us, and Desert Siren says, "I'm not broken and maybe a little cracked." Amanda says, "Nina inspires me to kick ass. I love you for that."
Aw, thank you.
So, and Amanda also says, "Then get up and dust yourself off and keep moving
And
forward."
Start
yes,
all over again.
Ashe, no
like Aaliyah
shit.
said,
There you go.
Dust yourself
This is
off
to
and
you.
try again.
Absolutely. This is to our sisters.
Yes.
And if there are any brothers out there.
Yes, brothers too.
Yes.
Joining us. Because
here's the thing is that if you have this brokenness, be thankful that you have this brokenness, but don't stick with the brokenness. Be thankful that you acknowledge that there's certain things that you could use improvement on. And if the brokenness is things that you cannot change, like like I've met some people that have been broken after being in a car accident that has left them not looking like how they used to. They have this brokenness about them. Those things you cannot change. But anything that's within you, anything that you feel like you can like, oh, I can love in healthier ways. I'm broken because I wasn't taught to do that. But how I am going to make a change is I'm going to learn to do it, not just for other people, but for myself, because I need to learn how to love myself in healthy ways in order to love other people in healthy ways. That would be a good way of I always feel like, even when we think of criticism, like I feel that there's good and bad in everything. There's the yin and yang in everything. And even something bad like manipulation or criticism, those things could be used in positive ways. For example, I don't manipulate people, but I manipulate energy to get my way. Am I wrong for doing that? No, I'm a witch. That's what I do. What do you think, sis?
I feel that first of all, every single person is raised serving in general. We're raised with our parents or whoever's in charge of us, and we start to serve and obey them, and we sort of grow up serving through school, having to do what the teachers say. Then you're working at jobs and you got to listen to your boss, and there's things expected of you. So we just grow automatically into a serving environment. But the thing is that we also grow up listening to our parents or family with a negative. And so we sort of consume that, and it becomes us again, or not again, but it becomes us. And all the negative starts like on this vessel chapter 33, on page 33, that inner judge and victim is developed.
Yes.
So when you hear other people, especially your own family, and you're growing up, you start to take that on, and you start to create that judge and victim in your own head. And when you hear someone around you that you might be looking up to that isn't being positive, and they're down and putting themselves down for one reason or another, it's easy for you to take on that action and then start looking at yourself and only seeing the negative as well. So I like that this inner judge and victim section of the book starts on 33. It says that we all carry two negative voices in our heads, which is the judge and victim. And this is the way we continuously self-sabotage as long as they're speaking in our heads, that ego. We learn fear growing up, and we learn self-rejection. So what we need to do with that is realize, if, like I try to tell my kids early on, I didn't do it when they were born because I wasn't even aware of it myself, but I try to tell my kids, no matter when, I don't remember when it started, and now I got grandkids who I have my daughter telling, but you might have fear because you're trying something new, or something's coming at you that you're not familiar with, but either talk about that fear, or it might not be something you need to be afraid of. It's just something you're not familiar with. So you might want to try that out and lose that fear. Your vibes might tell you something to be afraid of because there's someone that's around that's not good,
like
or
an
there's
energy.
right. And so talk, but still don't consume that and make it where you carry it with you, and now you're afraid of everything. You need to still talk about that, and that's your intuition coming through, telling you, warning you that there's something you need to be afraid of.
We have a lot of new empaths that come in here not knowing how to protect themselves from absorbing things around them. So that could also be even, if you realize that while reading this book, that you do tend to take on things a lot more energetically that you are feeling from other people, you might be an empath. So knowing how to protect yourself and shield yourself from these energies, or how to cleanse yourself even, will be very beneficial to you if you are an empath. It is a gift. It might not seem like it right now in the moment, but once you get it under control, you realize how much you can actually help other people with this gift, with this ability that you have.
Very true. Very true.
That judge and victim in you sometimes becomes programmed from
Mhm.
from abusive situations.
Situation.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Not necessarily physically abusive, but verbal abuse to me is way worse than physical, because we heal physically, but verbally
We don't.
we don't forget those words or whatever was said,
Right.
and that becomes a program that we carry. So it's up to us to realize that judge and victim has no room.
Mhm. And I think our parents start, like, I hate to blame it on my mama, but I'm just saying.
But it
is that our parents are they're the first ones that put this programming in us, because they're the ones that we trust the most. So we trust their judgment over our own judgment because they know best. So we go with it.
The problem with the parents is they do what they know.
Right.
Mhm.
So that's how it
Right.
just goes back and back
Yeah.
and back and back. Everyone is like a product of what they've learned.
Generational.
And it's up to us to make the change and stop that same pattern. Otherwise, and that's where this curse comes from. Where people
Absolutely.
like, we're cursed, this, and it's because they've been feeding themselves that continuous negativity. The victim judge in your head is
Mhm.
always ruling you. So,
and you know what, too? I think that people get so used to not talking about, or even just being, just criticizing things in a way of not wanting to discuss things. But Red, I've seen her parenting, and she's very open with how she talks to her kids. And there's not a lot of parents that are like that. There's not a lot of parents that you can ask them a question and they'll answer it. They just don't want to hear that at all. Or they're like, no, you're not supposed to ask me that. You're a kid. You're not supposed to ask an adult why they're doing this or why they're doing that. She actually explains it and breaks it down and makes it feel like you're okay to ask whatever it is that you want to ask, and she will answer it.
well,
you
if
might
you
not like the
don't
answer.
tell them, they're going to find out from somebody else.
Is it true?
Right.
And then they might find out the wrong way.
The wrong way.
That's how I feel.
So one thing I just wanted to add was, when I read this chapter and recently on my journey, this has been dredging up old memories that I've forgotten about a long time ago, whether it's words or symbols or actions, and it's very uncomfortable. But there's a reason for it, and that reason is growing, because you're realizing that doesn't define you. That, going back to what Red said, we're programmed with, because these are people that we trusted when you look at your parents when you're young, they're your idols. I mean, I was explaining something to my husband, and he said, "Well, why did you believe your mom?" I said, "Because my mom was all I had.
Yeah.
And she was my only source." And so it's okay. I just want to say, if you find yourself thinking about something or, some sort of incident, it's okay to feel that emotion, even though we're purifying our vessel. That is part of it. That pain, out of that pain comes growth and realization is moving the needle. And that needle is going to your
And
own
it's good that
self-worth.
you
And
get that realization.
absolutely.
And it's not at
Absolutely.
all to be like, oh, it's our parents' fault. It's not. I'm
No.
not at all going there
No.
because I know for sure that my parents,
Worked with the tools they had.
yes, they did the best.
They did the
And,
best.
and they did the best because it's what they knew.
Yeah, it is what they knew.
And I can understand that because
Yeah,
I did the best that I could do with my own children.
yeah.
And
And
I
I look
wasn't-
back and I'm like, oh, did I mess them up?
Yeah, but we did the best with what we know.
Right.
And I wasn't in the mode I am in today. I wasn't
Right.
there when I had children.
Absolutely.
So they grew with what I knew. And the good thing about it is with my growth, I shared my growth with them because with what I acknowledged and what I became new with, I wanted them to know too, like, oh, you know what? I did this because this is what I knew at the time, but
Right.
this is the way you should be thinking. And this is the route that you should be going because I've neglected you in this field because I didn't know any better, but I do now, and you can make that change for yourself and for your own kids.
That's so true. That's so true. And being open and honest like that, I think, is priceless. Because I look back, my mom wouldn't have that avenue of communication. So kudos to you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And going back to purifying your vessel,
Okay, so this is the more.
even though you're dredging up these memories or these situations, take a step back and be a disinterested person and understand why they affect you the way that they do, and then release them and ask the universe to transform it into a thing of beauty and move you into better clarity and better workings of the spirit, because that's what we're here for, is to become that divine being, to become that warrior goddess. Before you can become divine, you've got to go through the challenges, and that's what this book is all about.
Yeah, I mean, we won't learn without the challenges.
Oh gosh, no.
That's why there's yin and yang and black and white, and because you won't, and, we don't know the light without the darkness. You don't
That's
know
true.
darkness unless you have light. So they need each other, and you learn from that.
And someone once said to me that, somebody had asked, "Are you a light worker?" Well, yes, but I'm also a dark worker, because if I'm in the sun too long, I'm going to burn up. If I'm in the dark too long, I'm going to shrivel up. So finding that balance and finding that universal balance is more than where I would go with it. But
That's right.
it's you do have to have some of the dark to understand the light, and vice versa. We have a few comments out there. Mary Jane was like, "Oh my God, cuz such a good point." Mama Midnight said, "Witchcraft has really helped me exploring the divine feminine goddess energy, has empowered me. This is the message I send to my babies." Excellent. That is awesome. My son at this point, he is 33, and he just looks at me and just shakes his head and walks away. So I think my messages are falling on flat ears, but I don't think so. I think he's hearing it though.
Yes,
It's a defense
it doesn't matter
mechanism.
if they acknowledge it or not.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, they do something and like, you were listening.
Yeah, you were listening,
Yeah.
and it
So.
actually, but excellent. And then Alicia says, "I agree with Mama Midnight." Mary Jane said, "So true, Red." And that's when you were talking about our parents, the way that we're programmed, and they only teach us because that's all they know,
Right.
so,
living room.
yeah. And
Being
Alicia
a
said,
parent is
very
the
true.
only place or the
And
only
then,
position you do not get
bedrooms
instructions
were
on.
all just like
Oh,
down the
geez.
hallway
Just guidance,
and,
and
that.
you can only go with what you were
You don't
guided
have to
with,
get 'em all
and
right
it's not
right
meaning
now,
that
you know, but
it's
if
to
you
be
wanna
abusive
start
or
out with just
bad or
certain main
wrong,
rules,
or
you can.
it's all that was
Um,
known.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but selenite is
Absolutely.
always
And
good to have around,
sometimes
especially as
You do have
cleansing and
a
purifying.
family that you
Yeah,
grew up
that's
with
what she
that's
So
that
Mouse
might be
told me that.
abusive. And unfortunately, when our
Right,
parents were
right.
hurt
To look at
when they
this.
were
So,
kids,
okay, so let's
So what,
they
what
carry
else,
that
like,
on
what do
too.
you,
And
your friend,
the
is she
generation back
Reiki
then,
or
my
what is she?
parents,
she is
my
she
grandparents,
does
and
the,
so forth back, they didn't talk back then. Everything was kept in the household, and nobody else had to know anything. It was always a secretive kind of thing. You weren't allowed. Nobody was allowed to know what was going in the house. So you sort of had to carry that in with
Right.
you.
Right.
Even if
but,
you,
she's
and
still
then
allowed to
talking
do
about it
things.
in the family around each other, it didn't really get you anywhere because
Okay.
who are you? You're a child, and blah blah blah. But
And her.
now, I think it's important to
So,
raise the
She didn't
kids.
say Reiki though. She said,
Talk, let it out, because that's how that suppression
that she
starts to
was-
build up from childhood, and then you're growing into adult with horrible illnesses because you're still carrying all these suppression.
No, it's fine. It's
Emotions,
fine. I was
so,
just curious. It's okay. It's not.
Unfortunately, me,
I
I've
mean,
always been a
if
big
you,
mouth.
like, it's depending on who you're in your
I
room, that's all.
Feel like I
Yeah,
need to
no,
talk
yeah, I
and
don't-
and
yeah.
release. So
I don't think there's anything.
I've been labeled
negative.
TransUnion
okay.
Station,
Yeah, yeah.
but
Um,
I
Yeah,
have to
she's-
let it
Sometimes
out,
we
and I
have
feel
people
that's
come in here
that's a
and
good
already
thing to
knowing
do.
what they
So,
want.
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes we have
You
people
guys should
come
do
in
that
here
too.
I
So,
agree
yeah,
with
I
you.
just want, you
yeah,
know,
I'm a
agree
total
with you.
virgin.
Yeah.
Well, I believe.
I mean, you
we
came to the right place.
figure out how many minutes we are.
You're right. Yeah,
I don't even know.
Yeah.
So this is all new to
Yeah.
me.
So
Did you have any other thoughts
Anything
on
else, you guys have any thoughts on the parts you read, or anything you want to add?
anything that resonates with you that you'd like to share with the
Right.
group?
okay,
Well, and we're actually in there too.
that's what she said.
We are.
It's kind of quiet. Well, let's kind of look into.
Oh,
Do we have
awesome,
any?
Drew's. I'm just reading Drew's paranormal blog administrator.
Wait, what?
She said, "Hi, I'm from Scotland. Found you a while back through
Good, how are
allergy.
you?
Awesome. Glad you joined us."
Maybe I gotta choose a battery.
So
Huh.
if nobody else has anything else to add,
Are we closing off?
Just
Yeah.
about.
Okay.
remember the last part of this chapter says,
Oh, yeah.
cleanse your false core beliefs. So whatever you don't resonate with and know is not right, cleanse them, let them go.
If it doesn't serve your higher purpose.
Yes.
What? I see all these comments now. Now we see this way. I don't see it, but this way I do. We have a. Okay. Yeah, I'm technologically challenged tonight. It might have something to do with the little wine. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. But Summertime Fairy says, same here. I refuse to be with my son how my dad was with me. Excellent. Summertime goes on to say, my mom, I was, what did I do? Never really close to. I hate this. I don't know what I'm doing. To her, but I love her and don't really have that bond with her that I would like to have. Well, maybe that's one of the challenges
It's
in
probably
purifying
something you
your
need
vessel.
to get past.
Yeah.
Because until you resolve that, she will be your mother next lifetime as well.
Well, that's true. That's
So,
true.
All right, guys, we're going to close this up.
Yes.
We will see you a week from today with
Yay.
lesson 4, ground your being and free your past.
And what does Eleanor Roosevelt say?
No one can make you feel inferior without your consent.
Mm-hmm. I love that. That goes
Ashe.
like with my saying, nobody can do to you what you don't allow them to do.
Well, here's
Absolutely.
to all of you. Thank you
Here's
to
to all
all
of
of
you
you.
guys on
We're
this
all
mission
growing
with
together.
us in the warrior goddess training. You guys are already goddesses. It's just the warrior part. You guys are just
Getting
building
past-
I don't care what nobody says. You guys are all goddesses.
I think we
just
should
shaking
get
it.
those Wonder Woman bracelets.
Right. I don't think I have any more room on
Yeah,
my
I know,
arm.
right?
I'm like all the way up to like my forearm already. Yeah,
Right.
usually red is like
I
all the
forgot
way up to
everything
her
today.
elbow.
Like I sleep with this. That's
Yeah.
what's on.
All right, you guys. We'll
All right.
see you guys at the next lesson. Stay tuned for next Friday. If you guys have not already subscribed, please do so. Hit the bell so you guys can be alerted of our future live videos. And we will see you soon. Divine blessings to all of you. And thank you so much for your continued love and support.
Blessed
Blessed
be.
be.
Blessed be.